On May 8th, the world celebrated white smoke above the Vatican, signifying the election of a new pope, but many were shocked when the name of Cardinal Robert Prevost was announced as Leo XIV. Here is everything you need to know about the new pope in less than 10 minutes. Robert Francis Prevost was born in Chicago on the 14th of September 1955. His father had served in the US Navy during World War II and was of French and Italian descent, while his mother, a librarian, was of Spanish descent. After a promising education, he achieved a mathematics degree at Villanova University in 1977. Prevost speaks English, Spanish, Italian, French, and Portuguese, and can read Latin and German. He joined the Augustinians in 1977 and was ordained a priest in 1982. He was made Bishop of Chiclayo in Peru in 2015 and became a cardinal in 2023. Leo XIV is the first pope to come from an English-speaking country since Adrian IV in the 12th century, and the first pope to be elected from North America. His dual citizenship also makes him the first Peruvian pope. The new pope belongs to the Order of St. Augustine, a Catholic religious order which follows the rule or guidelines written by Augustine of Hippo in the 5th century. The order emerged in the 13th century when Pope Alexander IV brought together many different smaller groups in an event known as the Grand Union. The order spread from there and at its height had 30,000 members. The friars value learning and science and are known as missionaries across the global Catholic Church. In 1998, Prevost was elected Prior Provincial of the Order of St. Augustine's Province of Our Mother of Good Counsel, based in Chicago, assuming the role on the 8th of March 1999. The role of Prior Provincial meant that he was essentially the leader of the Augustinians in parts of the USA. In 2001, he was elected Prior General, another leadership role, but this time with responsibilities for the entire order globally. He served 2 6-year terms, each of which he was nominated to by his fellow Augustinians. His back-to-back elections show that the order valued his organisation skills and ability to lead with vision, something which undoubtedly played a role at the conclave to elect him to the papacy. Like the other ceremonies and traditions that accompany the election of a new pope, the name chosen is steeped in history and often signifies the type of papacy we can expect. It is a precedent that was set in the early Middle Ages, and, while there is no doctrinal reason for a pope to choose a new name, it has become part of the election process. One early pope to change his name was Pope John II, who was head of the church in the 6th century. He changed his name from Mercurius, which he thought was too much like the name of the pagan god Mercury. After the 10th century, taking a different name became common practice for popes once they had been elected, as popes from countries such as France and Germany adopted more Italian-sounding names to mimic their predecessors. Linking to the names of previous popes who had weathered crises, inspired reform, or were incredibly popular can often play a role in why a new pope picks a specific name. Pope Francis chose his papal name to honour St. Francis of Assisi, with his love of peace and nature, as well as his care for the poor, forming an important part of Francis's outlook. His predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI, chose his papal name to show his commitment to peace and reconciliation by honouring Saint Benedict, as well as Pope Benedict XV, who was head of the church during World War I. Pope Leo I, or Leo the Great, was pope from 440 until his death in 461. During his reign, the church met for an important summit, known as the Council of Chalcedon, to reassert and clarify the teachings of the church against a number of heretical movements and views that had sprung up in recent years. Pope Benedict XVI said that Leo's papacy was undoubtedly one of the most important in the church's history. Leo's chief aim was to sustain the unity of the church. Not long after his elevation to the papacy, he saw himself compelled to combat heresies which seriously threatened church unity even in the West. Taking on his name suggests that the new pope could see his role in a similar way, healing the divisions within the church that have emerged in recent years. The last pope to take the name Leo, Leo XIII, was head of the Catholic Church from February 1878 until his death in July 1903, making his reign one of the top 5 longest in the history of the papacy. Leo is best remembered for his papal encyclical Rerum Novarum. A papal encyclical is an important document written by a pope. Rerum Novarum outlined the rights of workers to a fair wage, safe working conditions, and the formation of trade unions, earning him the nickname the Pope of the Workers. In writing in this way, Leo XIII sought to bridge the divide between the Church and the modern world, seeking to bring the two into dialogue rather than direct opposition. Since Leo XIII, many papal teachings have expanded on the rights and obligations of workers, and his writing is seen as the foundation of Catholic social teaching, an area of the Catholic Church concerned with human dignity, the common good, and justice movements. Although Leo XIII was no radical in either his theology or his politics, his papacy moved the Catholic Church back to the mainstream of European life. Considered a great diplomat, he managed to improve relations with Russia, Germany, France, Britain, and many other countries. Time will tell if these are themes that Leo XIV will also explore. His predecessor's emphasis on peace and social justice, on bridging the gap between the Church and modern society, and the return of the Church to mainstream culture may all come to have important significance in future years. There are a number of reasons why Prevost might have been elected, many of which we will never know due to the secrecy of the conclave, but it is likely that his range of experience in America, Peru, and in Rome were considered and made him appear to be a safe pair of hands. On January 30th, 2023, Pope Francis appointed Prevost prefect of the dicastery for bishops. As prefect, he played a critical role in evaluating and recommending candidates as new bishops for positions across the globe, increasing his visibility within the Church. As a result, he would have been a familiar face to many in Rome, and therefore known to more of the Cardinals before the conclave. At the time of his election, Prevost was also president on the Pontifical Commission for Latin America, which dealt with church issues in the region. This meant he also had valuable insight into the issues facing the Church outside of Europe. As many of the cardinals who took part in the conclave were appointed by Pope Francis, it is not at all surprising that someone like Prevost was elected, even if he was only recently appointed a cardinal himself in 2023. In many ways, Leo XIV will continue the work of Pope Francis, undoubtedly shaped by his understanding of the needs of the Church beyond Europe. He is believed to share Francis's views on migrants, the poor, and the environment, for example, meaning that the new Pope will continue the conversations that Pope Francis had started. Yet Leo XIV finds a Church divided in many areas, including over the role of women in Church leadership, the ongoing clerical abuse crisis, and the position of LGBTQ+ individuals within the Church. To many, he has been seen as a safe middle-of-the-road Pope, someone who, like his namesakes, might seek to heal rifts that are emerging in different parts of the Church. Only time will tell, however, what challenges will emerge, and just how Leo XIV will address them.